The night was quiet until it wasn't. Officer Daniels had been on the force for years, carrying a badge and a reputation for being tough, but not always fair. When he saw Marcus, a well-built black man, jogging through the neighborhood, something in him snapped. Maybe it was ego, maybe it was prejudice. Either way, he decided Marcus didn't belong. With flashing lights and a loud voice, Officer Daniels ordered Marcus to stop. But Marcus wasn't just any man. He was the chief of the exercise a top-tier fitness instructor and former martial artist. He knew his rights, and he wasn't about to be bullied. What happened next? No one saw it coming. As tensions rose, Daniels made a move he would soon regret. But Marcus, he was ready. And when he hit back, not just physically, but with something even more powerful, it left the officer completely stunned. Marcus had dealt with men like Officer Daniels before, quick to judge, quick to act, but slow to understand. He kept his breathing steady, his muscles relaxed, even as the officer squared up like he was preparing for a fight. The flashing red and blue lights painted the pavement in harsh colors, making the moment feel even heavier. Daniels took a step closer, hand hovering over his belt. "I said stop," he barked, his voice sharp with authority. Marcus met his gaze, calm but firm. "I'm just out for a run." "That a crime now?" His words were measured, but his heart pounded. He knew how these situations could go. Daniel's fingers twitched. Maybe he expected fear, compliance. Instead, Marcus stood tall, unwavering. The officer wasn't used to that. His frustration grew, mixing with something deeper, something he didn't expect. Because Marcus wasn't just resisting intimidation, he was exposing it. The silence between them stretched, thick with unspoken words. Marcus could see the way Officer Daniels' jaw tightened, his grip twitching, like he was deciding what to do next. The night air was cool, but tension made it feel suffocating. From across the street, a woman peeked through her blinds, her phone already in hand. She had seen this play out before, too many times. But something about Marcus was different. He wasn't backing down, and that unsettled Daniels in a way he couldn't explain. "You fit the description," Daniels finally said, voice lower now, controlled but laced with something more dangerous. Marcus raised an eyebrow. "What description is that?" Daniels hesitated. He had no real answer, only an excuse. And that's when it hit Marcus. This wasn't about law or justice. It was about power. And right now, Daniels felt like he was losing it. Daniels' breathing grew heavier, his patience thinning by the second. The flashing lights, the quiet hum of the street, the weight of the moment, it all pressed down on him. Marcus hadn't moved, hadn't flinched, and that was making it worse. Daniels was used to people reacting with fear, with submission. But this was different. "Let me see some ID," Daniels demanded, his voice sharp. Marcus crossed his arms, his expression steady. For what reason? That simple question made Daniels' fingers curl into a fist. He didn't have a reason, not a real one. And Marcus knew it. The power dynamic was shifting, and Daniels could feel it slipping. His mind raced, searching for a way to regain control. The woman across the street was still watching, recording now. More neighbors stirred, drawn to the tension. Marcus could see it. Daniels was cornered. And when men like him felt that way, they made mistakes. Daniels' radio crackled, but he ignored it. His focus was locked on Marcus, frustration tightening his grip. The growing attention from the neighbors only made it worse. This wasn't how it was supposed to go. He was supposed to be in control. But Marcus wasn't just standing his ground. He was exposing him in real time. Then a voice cut through the tension. "Daniels." Another officer stepped onto the scene. Sergeant Reed, older, composed, with a kind of presence that commanded respect. His eyes flickered between Marcus and Daniels, instantly reading the situation. "What's going on here?" Daniels hesitated, searching for an answer. He knew whatever he said next had to make sense, not just to Reed, but to the growing crowd. Marcus watched, waiting. He had seen this before, how the story could shift depending on who was telling it. And then, before Daniels could speak, Reed turned to Marcus. "Chief Marcus." A murmur spread through the onlookers. Daniels stiffened. Whatever power he thought he had left was gone. Daniels' face went pale. Asterisk, asterisk, Chief Marcus. Asterisk, asterisk, his mind raced, trying to piece together what was happening. This wasn't just some random guy out for a jog. Marcus was known, respected. And now everyone was watching. Sergeant Reed stepped forward, his eyes narrowing at Daniels. "Is there a reason you stopped Chief Marcus?" His tone was calm but firm, the kind that carried weight. Daniels opened his mouth, then closed it. There was no reason, no excuse that would hold up now. The neighbors, the woman recording, the tension in the air, it was all crashing down on him. Marcus let the silence stretch before he finally spoke. "I was just exercising, officer. That's not a crime, is it?" Reed exhaled, then turned to Daniels. "Return to your patrol. Now." Daniels swallowed hard, his hands trembling at his sides. Without another word, he turned and walked away. But as Marcus watched him leave, he knew this wasn't over. Not yet. Daniels disappeared into the night, but the weight of what had happened stayed behind. The crowd slowly thinned, murmurs of disbelief, and quiet conversations filling the air. The woman across the street lowered her phone, giving Marcus a small nod before stepping back inside. The moment had passed, but its impact lingered. Sergeant Reed looked at Marcus, his expression unreadable. "You handled that well," he said. Marcus met his gaze. "Didn't have a choice." Reed gave a slow nod, understanding in his eyes. Then, with a final glance at the fading lights of Daniel's patrol car, he walked back toward his own. Marcus exhaled, rolling his shoulders before turning back toward the street. His run had been interrupted, but not his purpose. He had stood his ground, not just for himself, but for everyone watching. And as he jogged into the night, he knew the real work was just beginning.